going to encourage you today. Today is one of my days where I spend reorganizing, getting things together to make sure that we're still on course here in my household. Also, I make sure that my business is still going as planned according to the vision and the purpose that we have. It's also, like I said, to tidy up around my house, to get things organized, to get everything into place so that we can continue the week out, right? And so I wanted to come on to encourage you because there is an actual purpose for being in my marriage, for being in your marriage, for being in a relationship, for being in a partnership, for being in business. God has a purpose for all of that here on earth. And so I am called out in this season to carry out this duty that God has given me. So I want to encourage you and to share with you the purpose of being in a relationship. First of all, before you even get into the relationship, God gave you a vision and a purpose to carry out. And that is to know who you are, whose you are, and the mission that He has given you. And only then can you connect with something else because you know who you are. Now, before you get into the relationship, you go out on dates. And the dates are simply in place for you to figure out if this person or that person is a match for you. To see if you all are on the same journey, on the same course, have the same vision, purpose, goals in life. And that's how you connect so that you can connect to something and you can form this grand scale or this purpose for being in a partnership or relationship, right? And then it leads to marriage, right? It leads to marriage after then. But only after you know who you are and your purpose and vision is. Once you connect to a person, to an idea, to a thing, you become joined, you become married to it, right? I'll give you an example. From a religious standpoint, Adam and Eve. From a non-religious standpoint, a thought, a feeling. Masculine, feminine. Two things joining together, coming together, making a decision to come together, to join, to create this bond. And so after you create the bond, then you begin the relationship process. Now we can get into the ship, right? We can get into the ship. But in order to get into the ship, we have to have tools, right? They're tools. And so what I call the triple S, security, shelter, safety. All of this begins to become structure for your marriage, for your partnership, for your relationship, in order for you to be successful on this ship that God has required us to be in, right? After you create this structure, this security, it's that protection. It's that vision and that provision that God provides. The shelter, it's that place, the roof, the covering, right? The shelter will let you know what to let in, right? Because you can't come in to my space, my ship, unless you're authorized to come in. Safety, right? Safety is next. Safety is all about, the protection. It's all about knowing or not letting things in that could potentially damage you, injure you, or you're being at risk of something, right? So you have to have a structure. Once that structure is formed, it's now becoming a throne where your heirs your legacy can move throughout this throne, this structure that you have. After your throne and your legacy is created, God wants and he gives us a grand scale to look at, right? He gives us a grand scale. That grand scale is what God calls kingdom marriage, right? Be fruitful and multiply. Now, when I was younger, I was taught from a church that being fruitful and multiply means just having babies. That was not all that God meant for us to do, was just to have babies. We must invest. We must be financially stable, savings account, right? Ideas, creations, dreams, goals, visions, all of that is what fruitful and multiply means. Now comes the children, which adds on to more wealth, more dreams, more vision, right? And it becomes this big grand scale kingdom for God, because we're all doing the things that God created us to do, to be fruitful and to multiply. But it's not until you know your role in your marriage, in your partnership, in your relationship, that you can get to this grand scale. Because if you don't have a vision, the seed, man has a seed. A woman is a container. Man puts the seed inside of the container. The container is there to keep it, to nurture it, to water it, to make it come into fruition. Then you'll have what God calls a purposeful relationship, a purposeful marriage. So I hope that this encouraged you, and for you to know